Under the blazing savannah sun, two frail puppies trembled at the threshold of danger, their eyes fixed on a majestic lioness who emerged like a golden phantom. Heart-pounding, the littlest pup lifted a trembling paw in silent plea, an act so unexpected it stole the lioness's predator's heart. In that breathless moment, predator met plea, and the wild held its breath. What followed next wasn't just mercy, it was a bond that defied nature's fiercest laws. Stay with us to witness the astonishing rescue that will challenge everything you thought you knew about strength, empathy, and the power of unexpected alliances. The morning air shimmered with heat as the two puppies ventured onto the cracked, sun-baked earth. Their coats, speckled with dust and grime, did little to protect them from the relentless glare overhead. Tiny bodies shuddered not only from the midday heat, but from exhaustion and fear so profound it seemed to echo across the silent plain. Where had their pack gone? Where was their mother's warm presence? All they could remember was waking in pain, unable to rouse the figure pinned beneath tangled wood and shattered branches. Their playfulness, once carefree and spirited, had evaporated into a desperate hunt for help. As the wind stirred the tall grass, it carried not the usual scent of distant prey, but something strange and utterly foreign, the heavy, musky perfume of a lioness whose golden fur flickered in and out of view like a mirage. Past the puppy's desperate gazes, the tall grass parted and allowed the lioness to stroll into view. She moved with a grace so fluid, it seemed she glided rather than walked, each massive paw landing with silent precision. Her amber eyes mirrored the intensity of the sun's reflection off the earth, and in that curious moment, the puppies froze. Instinct screamed at them to flee, yet something tender and inexplicable held them rooted in place. Their leader, the cream-colored pup, tilted his head upward and pressed his front paws together against his tiny chest. The motion was awkward, as though he mimicked a gesture he'd seen in humans long ago. His companion, pale as dawn, imitated him in hesitant strokes, sending a shiver through the air that soothed even the lioness's predatory instinct, and so began a pause that would reshape the boundaries of the wild. Behind the trembling duo lay their mother, her yellow-brown fur matted with dust and flecks of dried earth. She lay flattened beneath a labyrinth of broken branches and heavy beams, every shallow breath a victory against the weight that pinned her down. Her eyes fluttered open at the gentle whimper of her puppies, but she could not rise. Their tiny teeth tugged at familiar strands of wood, tiny bodies racked with effort and despair. The world had offered them no savior until now. As the scent of fear and milk floated over the clearing, the lioness hesitated. The smell of canine vulnerability rose in her nostrils, and something ancient stirred within her. For a heartbeat, predator and prey regarded one another in perfect stillness, as if the savannah itself held its breath to witness what would come next. Silence lingered until a faint whimper slipped from the hiding place among the thorny underbrush. That sound, so plaintive, so pure, pierced the hush and drew the lioness forward. She lowered her head, nostrils flaring, and stepped across the ragged debris as delicately as if navigating a field of blossoms. The puppies watched in awe, their bodies impossibly still, eyes wide. And then, with a single sweep of that awe-inspiring paw, she shifted the top beam just enough to reveal their mother's weary eyes. Another gentle nudge sent the heavier limb tumbling away. The wind carried a chorus of relief, the mother's soft whine as she nudged her puppies, the rambling rustle of grass, and the quiet exhale of the lioness, who had become something more than a hunter in that moment. Reunited, the family huddled close, the puppies staggering toward their mother's side and pressing their ears against her wounded flank. Their tails wagged with new vigor, and their whimpers turned to joyful yips. The lioness stood by, her gaze softened to something almost maternal, an image of wild grace set against the vast blue sky. She waited until the mother dog lifted herself free of the last barrier, her eyes meeting the lioness's in a connection that transcended fear. In that instant, hunter and healed life shared a fragile understanding. That compassion can bloom in even the harshest of landscapes, that mercy might come from the jaws of danger, and that strength sometimes reveals itself not in might alone, but in the choice to protect rather than destroy. As the lioness turned to recede into the grass, her massive frame became a silhouette against the horizon. She paused once, casting a final look at the pups licking their mother, then melted into the undulating waves of golden stalks. In her wake, her enormous paw prints pressed into the earth like whispered promises. When Martha, the old park ranger, arrived hours later on her routine patrol, all she found was the mother dog nuzzling her pups, their bellies full and hearts still racing, and the trail of giant prints vanishing into the wild. She knelt among them, her weather-beaten face softening as she realized the magnitude of what had transpired. No one would believe her without the evidence of those prints, and even then, who would credit a lioness with an act of pure kindness toward a family so small and fragile? Days turned into weeks under the gentle care of a nearby ranger station, and each dawn found the pups tumbling in the grass outside a humble hut. Their mother's wounds healed beneath the attentive hands of caregivers, but their eyes carried a deeper memory, one of awe and wonder that no amount of human comfort could erase. Martha often sat on the porch with her morning tea, studying the horizon where the savannah met the sky, imagining that somewhere beyond the ridge the lioness prowled. In her heart, she believed that each time the wind whispered through the tall grass, it carried the lioness's silent vow to watch over the innocent, to guard mercy in a realm ruled by the fierce. Stories of cross-species compassion ripple through the animal kingdom, but few hold the power to shake our expectations so profoundly. This tale reminds us that even the greatest predator can be moved by vulnerability, that a single gesture can bridge the chasm between fear and trust. In the wild, bonds are forged in the crucible of survival, but what we witnessed that morning was something far rarer. Empathy born not of necessity, but of choice. It teaches us that kindness need not be limited by instinct, that miracles can unfold when we honor the plea of the meek, and that hope often finds us where we'd least expect it. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who believes in the impossible. Let the world know that even in the harshest places, love and mercy can bloom. Leave a comment below with your reaction, and tell us which moment moved you most. Subscribe and ring the bell so you won't miss the next journey into the extraordinary tapestry of nature's most astonishing tales. Until then, remember that sometimes the bravest act is simply to answer a silent plea.